Xbox On. Welcome to Xbox On, a podcast with one host about one console, Xbox. I'm said host Jesse DeRosa, and on today's episode, we'll be talking about the latest Xbox news for the week of August 19th, 2021, including Fortnite does a humongous Among Us, People Can Fly, and Square Enix shares some disappointing news about Outriders, Call of Duty won't stop making the news, and more. Welcome to the pre-Gamescom 2021 episode of Xbox On, episode 115. So we have a couple of things to address before we jump really into the meat of the podcast today. Not really the general corrections, but more so some light news stories that we're not going to get too into, but I just want to draw some attention to, as well as a couple of announcements. So as a reminder, next week is Gamescom, so it'll happen next Tuesday, the 24th, and then the podcast will still go live on the regular Thursday, the 26th. So that way we'll be able to get all the games come in next week's podcast episode, and it won't be super delayed or anything like that. It'll be pretty timely. So everything's going to line up just so. Now remember, we're still expecting some decent news from that, not like E3 level news, but updates on a lot of games that are coming from Team Xbox, and hopefully some re-reveals or revisits of things we haven't heard from in a while. It'd be nice to, I'm thinking small. I'm hoping for, like a re-reveal of Crossfire X, the campaign for the game that's coming from Smilegate. The campaign is being developed by Remedy Entertainment. Hopefully we see what happened to that, because that was supposed to come out like a year ago, and now it's just kind of dead in the water. So we don't really know where that is. So I'm expecting small announcements, probably things like that. Maybe, we get a Halo Infinite release date. I could see that happening. And then, maybe it's bigger than we're all thinking, and we get something like a Fable gameplay reveal or something. But that one might be wishful thinking. For the most part, I assume it's going to be, follow-ups on games coming out this year and next year, and some smaller things for the most part. And it's no E3, but it is, aside from E3 and the Game Awards, this is really where Xbox usually does their biggest announcements. So, I was thinking about it, like, Halo Wars 2 got announced at Gamescom back in 2017, so why, who's to say we don't get something interesting this year? So that is next week. Be on the lookout for that. So you would think this is a slow, boring news week in anticipation for that, but actually we got some decent stuff to talk about. So shut up. Don't get all sour about this upcoming episode that you're about to dig into. Next up, the day this show goes live, we got a couple things happening. QuakeCon begins this weekend. It runs to the 21st. It is Bethesda's little fan convention they do every year. So this is, usually nothing really big comes from this, but now that Bethesda's part of the Xbox family, you might want to pay a little closer attention to this kind of thing, but I'm not expecting anything too big from this either. Maybe get an update on Quake Champions or something with Doom or something like that, but this is just something to be aware of. If anything comes from this, we'll talk about it in next week's episode, but this will be happening over this current weekend that we're about to embark on. So that's another thing I wanted to make you aware of. And then also, as speaking of Xbox games, this is an Xbox podcast after all. 12 Minutes is out as of today, Thursday, the day this show goes live. New Xbox indie temporary limited time console exclusive. We've seen this at E3 a number of times, and now it's finally here. It's finally out. It is on Game Pass, so you can download that now. Remember, this is that game with the isometric perspective, that indie game where it's like every 12 minutes the event just keeps repeating. It shows like the guy in the apartment, and he's taking the phone call, and someone's dead, and what happened, and you got to figure out the situation and piece together the clues to find out who the origami killer is. No, it's apparently people are really high on this game. Critics seem to really like it based on early impressions, and people seem to be pretty hyped about it. So probably something you want to check out this weekend if you just got to be in the know about the latest and greatest Xbox games on Game Pass. So that's another thing I want to point out. And then before we jump into the two news stories that we're just going to make mention of but not dive into, I do want to do a little bit of a personal announcement, guys. I'm very excited about some news I got right now. So I know a lot of you guys don't care about the outside of Xbox on stuff. So if you're not here for my YouTube or my Twitch or any of that, feel free to just skip ahead the next 2 minutes or so. But I got to make a quick announcement. So first of all, I want to say a very special thank you to all you guys for constantly supporting the podcast and the Twitch stream and everything. I'm really, really just pleased with, it's not even about performance or growth or anything like that. It's just, I feel personally, proud of what we've built, and I enjoy getting to do this with you guys. So it's always fun to log off on Monday night from a stream and then upload a podcast on Thursday morning and watch your guys' initial reactions to the show and things like that. So I really appreciate the support, but in my efforts to try and take this to the next level and go a little further with all these creative efforts, I got some new news here. So I've started a second YouTube channel. Now, I've already been teasing that I was going to do some video content, but I've started a second YouTube channel, and some changes are happening to this one. So the first thing is this channel you're listening to right now. Most of you guys listen to this show through podcast feeds, but I know a handful of you do listen through YouTube. Normally, the show goes up on my Second Best Gaming YouTube channel. I always make the joke about how it's a stupid name I came up with many, many years ago. Don't laugh at it, But the name of the channel has officially changed. You may notice that the show is now going live on the YouTube channel titled Xbox On Podcast. So now the channel is aptly named for what it is that I upload, which is exclusively this show. This channel will remain 100% the same. The podcast is remaining 100% the same. Nothing is changing there. You don't have to take any action if you're just here for the podcast. But now, instead of being called Second Best Gaming, the YouTube channel is called Xbox On Podcast. Strangely enough, that is actually making it harder for discoverability, I've learned. I've been looking it up, searching from like different devices and stuff. When you used to look up Second Best Gaming, I showed up pretty high on the top of the search results in YouTube. But now when you look up Xbox On Podcast, it's actually harder to find the channel. So I may have just shot myself in the foot a little bit with that one. But if you type in like Xbox On Jesse DeRosa or something like that, you find it a little easier. I guess that's my problem more than yours. But anyway, so you may notice this channel is now 100% just Xbox On. This is a channel for people who just want the podcast, don't care about the other stuff. That's totally cool. We're happy to have you here. But that's what's happening with this channel. Now, I have a second YouTube channel because I want to do some other things, but I don't want to bother you guys who just want the podcast with all this other bullshit that you're not interested in. So my new channel, taking from the Twitch stream, is just called Lightning McStream. Don't know if that's going to be a permanent name, but for now it's like, you know what, let's not throw too many names in the mixes. So the podcast is Xbox On, the YouTube channel for Xbox On is called Xbox On Podcast. Everything's super simple there. My Twitch is still Lightning McStream, but now the new YouTube page is called Lightning McStream as well. And here's where I'm going to be uploading my videos. Now, I've been teasing a little bit that I've been working on some videos. That's why I recently purchased a new PC, was so that we could do streaming a little better, podcasting a little better, and also edit and put out some videos. And I've been working on a video this past week, a little bit on and off, and I'm hoping to have it out sometime early next week. So look forward to that. The new YouTube channel is Lightning McStream. Very hard to find, so I've linked it in the description of this video. You can see it on my Twitter at Jesse DeRosa. You can link to it. It's really hard to find the channel right now because when you first create a channel on YouTube, they make discoverability almost impossible because YouTube's plan is to make sure everyone fails and succeed. Everyone absolutely fails, and the people who are already succeeding continue to succeed. That's how the algorithms are set. So it may be hard to find it, but just check my Twitter, check the description of this video, or reach out to me if you'd like, and I can help link you to it. But it's Lightning McStream. It's the new YouTube channel. I'm hoping to have my first video up next week. And just as a little sneak peek, the first video is going to be, and I assume this is a lot of the early content I'm going to be making, is taking video footage from the streams that we do over on Twitch and then heavily editing them to be really stupid and choppy. Almost like Twitch stream meets highlight video meets YouTube poop, heavy editing and tons of stupidity. So I'm really looking forward to sharing it with you guys. I hope it turns out all right. And you can find all that content on the Lightning McStream YouTube channel. So I'd just like to wrap up one more thing. Please go and subscribe to that. Please, please, please. I got another surprise thing I'm working on, but in order to get there, I want to focus on just kind of getting an initial install base on this new channel. So if we can get some subs at the Lightning McStream YouTube channel, that'd be really appreciated. Maybe if we can get to like 50 subs or something just to kind of help establish it, that'd be really great. As a reminder, this YouTube page for Xbox On is almost at 1,000. So we're at about 850 or so. So if we can get that extra 150 subscribers, oh baby, Oh baby, I got a big surprise for you. You're gonna love it. You like caramel? Okay, I'm gonna put some caramel on this nice thing I got cooking up for you. You're gonna like it. It's gonna be sweet, sticky and sweet. All right, that's it for all the initial news, guys. With that out of the way, couple little quick things I want to talk about before we jump into the comments and the regular run. Now, another sexual harassment story is broken out because apparently the reason why video games are constantly being delayed and missing release dates and all these things, and why crunch happens in the industry, has nothing to do with COVID, has nothing to do with games being technical, fragile pieces of software that can break or come together with the slightest 1 or 0 that is off. No, that's not what's happening in the industry. The real reason why the games ain't coming, why Halo Infinite's been delayed so many goddamn times, the real reason why Miyamoto wants you to know a delayed game is good, but a rushed game is bad forever. The real reason is because all these goddamn game developers cannot keep their hands to themselves. They keep sexually harassing all these women, apparently, because Ubisoft's got another one here. Now it's Ubisoft Singapore, so totally different studio. Ubisoft's been facing this shit in their French studio. We got Activision Blizzard dealing with this shit over in California. We see this kind of stuff happen on and off all the time, but now Ubisoft's like, hey, we're not going to be outdone by Activision here, okay? We can harass our women way worse than you can. So a new report is coming out, unfortunately. Now, Ubisoft Singapore, this is the team that has been working on Skull and Bones. See what I mean? Skull and Bones. It was announced like 5 years ago. It's still not out. Keeps getting delayed and rebuilt. Again, it's not because the game is technical and hard to build and it takes a lot of time and money and talent. It's because these developers can't stop fucking abusing women long enough to finish making their goddamn game. So Ubisoft Singapore, I obviously don't mean to make light of a really serious situation, but the reason why we're not diving into this deeper is because at this point, I've made the statements I can make. I've said all the things I can say. I'm not a very eloquent person. I don't know a lot about the legalities of these kinds of situations. There's not really much I have to offer other than the things we've already talked about. So I just want to put this out there because it is an important story and it deserves to be mentioned and brought to light. And obviously more bad shit happening, more victims, and more really, really shitty people in our games industry. But I just need to bring this up so you guys are aware of it with the disclaimer that it would be kind of stupid for me to just continue to try and divulge on this conversation, because what more do you want? What more can I say? I barely know how to fucking tie my shoes, let alone talk about sexual harassment lawsuits. So, fuck us all. We can't play video games because these boners from their mom's basements can't stop treating their female coworkers like absolute dog shit. And then the last one here, significantly less shitty, is actually a story that's been tossed around a lot this past week regarding Phil Spencer and the Steam Deck. Now, I think this story's been blown out of proportion a lot. A lot of people are trying to draw a lot of info out of what I think is mostly nothing, but Phil Spencer had the chance to use the Steam Deck, the upcoming Nintendo Switch-like Steam handheld device, and he tweeted out the following after using it. He said, "Was at Valve Software this weekend talking with Scott, Eric, and Gabe about Steam Deck. After having mine most of the week, I can say it's a really nice device. Games with me on the go, screen size, controls are great. Playing Halo and Age of Empires feels good. xCloud works well. Congrats, Steam Deck team." So a lot of people took this as, oh my god, they're going to put Game Pass on Steam Deck. Oh my god, Steam Deck is going to be this new Xbox Valve hybrid device. Listen, yes, you can technically get Windows running on this device. Yes, you could probably make xCloud and all these things work just fine on this device. That's the point, but that's not what they're building this device to inherently be. And a lot of people were trying to reinterpret this as Phil Spencer like winking and nodding to like, hey, we're working with Valve. Hey, we've got a lot of Xbox related stuff happening with this new device. Like, keep on, be on the lookout. But it's like, no, Phil Spencer is always being the guy giving shout outs to other people and saying nice things. Every time PlayStation puts out a game, he's like, oh, played the new God of War game. Real good job, PlayStation. Good job making a game. Congrats to you on this multi-million-dollar success you have coming your way. And then, PlayStation won't ever say anything nice to Xbox. It's a very common thing. It's Phil's ongoing effort to just put positivity out there and just be a nice guy. And that's not a dig on Sony. It's very unusual that really anyone does that. But Phil Spencer in particular has been real big on pushing that kind of energy out there. So this seems more in line with the kind of thing he normally does, and a lot less like his way of being like, hey, pay attention to Steam Deck because we got some Xbox partnerships coming up. So I just want to put that out there. You can read more about that story if you like. I personally think a lot of outlets and people are reading a little too much into what that tweet was all about, but nonetheless, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he was being pretty black and white about it, saying, hey, Halo's coming to Steam Deck, you fucking idiots. Well, I guess of course it is because Steam, but whatever. All right, with that out of the way, guys, let's jump into the regular comments, shoutouts, and everything. You know how it goes. You want to leave a comment, you go over to youtube.com, leave out the E, youtube.com. You look up second best game. Oh, wait. You don't look up second best game and no more. Now you look up Xbox On Podcast. Now it makes perfect sense. You say, I want to find the Xbox On Podcast on YouTube. What should I look up? The answer used to be Xbox On. Well, of course you got to look up second best gaming, but now we live in a world where everything's ass backwards. So now if you want to look up the Xbox On Podcast, you're actually going to search in Xbox On. I know. It makes no fucking sense, but that's how you do it. So you do that. All I'm uploading to that channel is the Xbox On Podcast. So click on the latest episode and you can leave yourself a comment. You can say something nice like, Jesse, what the fuck happened to the structure of the show? You used to open up with a little bad dad joke that would fall flat on its face, and then you went right into the comments. But now you just keep talking about your Twitch and your other YouTube channel and the personal decisions you make behind closed doors and all the stories that are news stories that you're still covering like they're the news, but then abandoning halfway through your interpretation. Like, what is this fucking podcast, The Ride? I didn't want this kind of sporadic, all over the place, no nonsense podcast, no nonsense podcast. And I'll be like, whoa, I get it. I've let you down, but fucking suck a dick, because it's my show and this is how we're doing it. And I'll read that comment on the air. It'll be a little weird. It'll be a little disheartening, but we'll do it. You could also leave a nice comment. You can just say, hey, Jesse, good for you. You keep doing you. Personally, I'm just a podcast guy. I just like to listen to the show. Well, you keep doing all that other bullshit, and you see how that works out for you. Otherwise, I would like to say Adam Sandler is my favorite character from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I really hope he makes a return for that Disney Plus show with Carmen Diaz, and keep up the good work. And I'll say, hey, thanks for the comment. What a wonderful thing to say. Appreciate it as always, and we'll move on with our lives, and everything will be great. Our first comment this week comes from Valdesme, who writes in and says, hope my comment makes it before you record. Well, you commented last week, so no, it didn't. But like I said, I would. I put it in this week's comments list because Valdesme, I'm not leaving you out. I want you here. You deserve to be here. You say, finally made it to the comments. Been listening to your podcast for over a year now, and I have to say, every week it comes out, it goes to the top of my queue. Looking forward to catching you on Twitch sometime and playing something. Love the vibe and comedy you bring to the show every week. Keep it up. Well, Valdesme, even though that's not a comment that really sparks a discussion or anything, and even though it's pretty self-serving for me to read that live on the air, I did it anyway because it's a really nice comment, and I really appreciate those kind of words and your support. So thank you for being here, and I look forward to hanging out with you more in the chat. You've been a wonderful, wonderful friend on the Twitch streams these past few weeks. But going on, David, speaking of wonderful Twitch people, David I305I, which I think means David Intimidator 305. It's a roller coaster at Carowinds, but this guy seems to think it's about Miami somehow. He says, take your time, no rush. Most likely I won't go to Disney this year. David, love you, grateful for you. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about here. I have no understanding of the context surrounding this comment, but nonetheless, thank you for taking the time. Ryan Weil jumps in third place and says, well, you're not third place, but your comment came in third. Listen, Ryan, we're moving on. I've never been crazy into Halo multiplayer, but I've been playing a lot of Master Chief Collection to get ready for Infinite after how great the game looks. I can't wait. Also, I'm usually a Call of Duty simp, but I have damn near zero interest in this year's game. Battlefield and Halo have my attention. Also, the rumors about GTA Trilogy Remaster have me very excited. Hey, don't get ahead of the news, boy. Also, before I forget, Raising Cane's is the best fast food place around. Thanks, have a great day. All right, Ryan, thank you for writing in. Well, I hope Infinite is able to make you a believer, convert you to Team Halo. I hope this is your entry point. This is the moment where you realize that you've been living half a life, because on November, whatever the day Halo Infinite comes out, you will become full human. You will become your ultimate form. You will be like Shadow the Hedgehog in the hit 2004 game Shadow the Hedgehog, and you will just fucking wreak havoc on this world with your newfound love and appreciation for all things Halo. I hope that's the case. And you know what? I also hope this year's Call of Duty it manages to prove to everyone that they were wrong and that was actually a good game, because that means just more great games for everyone, right? And also, I'm glad you're excited about GTA, but you're getting ahead of the news because we'll talk about that in a little bit. But most importantly, above all, you guys keep talking about Raising Cane's. Now, Lethal Migraine, who I don't know where the hell he's been kind of disappearing. Lethal Migraine, please write in. I want to know you're okay. You know I love you. You know I miss you. Lethal Migraine always talks about the Raising Cane's. It's his favorite fast food chicken. He speaks very highly of it. I never knew about Raising Cane's until Lethal Migraine enlightened me. And then I found out that I apparently live like 40 minutes away from a Raising Cane's most of my life. Or I don't know if it's a new location or whatever, but I had just moved away from it. And now I live here in Florida. We don't have Raising Cane's. So you guys keep coming in here bragging about how great the chicken is at Raising Cane's, best fast food around. And it's really making me feel bad because I don't have Raising Cane's. I can't go get it. And I tried. I've gone to their website. You cannot airmail Raising Cane's. There is no $17 one-day shipping option for Raising Cane's. I can't do it. Simply impossible. And so why are you going to come here, Ryan, and just brag to me about the place I can't have, the chicken that is inaccessible to me? You think Publix Chicken or Popeyes are going to do it for me? No, absolutely inexcusable. I want Raising Cane's, and I demand it right now. Someone get Ron DeSantis on the phone and tell that fucking idiot it's time for Raising Cane's right this fucking second. All right, Josiah writes in. He's my brother. He says, what are the odds we see Avowed at Gamescom? Also, is it Gamescom or Gamescon? I feel like Gamescon makes more sense, but it sounds like people say it with an M. Yes, it is Gamescom with an M, not an N. It is M for Mary, not N for Nicaragua, country in Central America. All right, now, yes, it is Gamescom with an M, blah, blah, blah. Avowed at Gamescom. See, I feel like this is one of the ones where I'm like, maybe. We have a better chance of seeing Avowed at Gamescom, I think, than we have of seeing Perfect Dark or Elder Scrolls 6, which we're obviously not going to see, right? So I think there's a slight possibility. It would be awesome to me if we did, but at the same time, I'm not holding my breath. I think we have a better chance of seeing Hellblade 2, actually, more than anything. Because, well, remember my biggest complaint about E3 was, like, why did they announce all these new games when last year they already announced a bunch of games that we're now, like, wondering what the hell's up with this game and this game and this game? So that would be awesome if that's what this was about, was like, well, every E3 we just announce a bunch of new games. And then Gamescom and Game Awards and these other events are the opportunities for us to give you updates on the other games, you know? That'd be awesome. And that way it just shows that, you know, Xbox has so many studios, so much content coming out that they could always talk about something. You know, if you didn't see it at this event, you'll probably see it at the next one. They just got so many games. The problem isn't that these games are disappearing. It's that there's just so much content coming. I love the idea of that, of them like totally making me look like a bitch for all my E3 complaints by being like, all the games you were wondering why they weren't at E3, well, here they are at Gamescom. Here's your updates, Jesse. And then next year, we'll talk about the E3 games of 2021 at Gamescom. And at E3 2022, we'll just announce new games because we're Xbox and we can fucking do it. Suck a dick. I'd love for that to be the case. I'm not totally convinced. I wouldn't hold your breath on Avowed, but I think the two that are most realistic and that I'm most intrigued to see would be Hellblade 2 and Crossfire X campaign from Remedy. But we'll have to wait and see. Patience, young one. We have less than a week to go. Mr. Meggy comes in and says, I played the test flight beta on Sexbox and had the server lag each of the days I played. I did okay, and it would end up with a KDR of 1.0. Also, because this is an Xbox podcast, I feel the need to mention that I'm currently trying to save up for my next car, since there probably won't be a manual transmission car by the end of the decade. I got like 6 or more that I'm debating on. Sadly, it means saving up for a house will have to wait for me. All right, Mr. Miggy, I'm glad you mentioned this because this is absolutely pertinent to Xbox. But the thing is, I don't even know if I can name 6 cars with a manual transmission that they currently sell here in the States. Now, obviously, in Europe and in Asian markets and stuff, they're a little more lucky. They still have more manual transmission vehicles than we do here in America. In America, I know, people are just so against it. Now, I think that might be North America in general. I think Canada, it has like a slightly better array of manual transmission vehicles, but not still nothing compared to like what Europe and Asia have. But I must say, yes, Mr. Miggy, if you're looking for a vehicle with a manual transmission in the year 2021, I'm going to tell you what it is, and I don't care if you like it or not, you got to go with it. Don't go with the Subaru. They're fucking idiots. Don't go with the Yaris. None of these, okay? You go with, well, it's Subaru, but I meant like a WRX. Go with the Subaru BRZ or the Toyota 86. They're actually refreshing it. I think the new one comes out in like a month or two. Dude, that car is so cool. I actually don't like the refresh. It looks kind of like a Porsche. I don't like that. I actually like the 2011 to 2020 model a lot better. But go with the Toyota 86 or the Subaru BRZ. It's a beautiful car. That's the car I wanted to get, but I didn't get it because it's a little too sporty and a little too expensive for my taste. But you know, Mr. Miggy, if you gotta have a manual, might as well get the one I'm picking for you without me even taking your preference into account. Now, ERNC05 writes in and says, I'm a sports fan, so generally I play sports games. I do play shoots such as COD and PUBG, but I suck, lol. I'm thinking about getting Game Pass so I can play Halo for the first time when it comes out. ERNC05, let me just tell you straight up, don't buy Master Chief Collection. Don't play COD. Don't play any of these games, because the problem is David I305 is already very good at these games, and you stand no chance of getting any better than he is. So don't even waste your time. The boat has gone, is come and sailed, and you are not on this boat. Let me tell you what, you are either luckily on land, dry, free to decide on something else to do, or you're in the water drowning right now. But don't do it. Don't you fucking buy Halo. I'm watching you. I got your credit card numbers. I'll know every transaction you make, goddammit. But no, if you really want to try Halo, I think you play Halo. The nice thing about Halo compared to the other shooters you mentioned is Halo is way more casual and accessible. PUBG, any BR game, is so incredibly sweaty. That's why I'm almost surprised like how popular Fortnite is with kids. But kids are cooler than us old people, so maybe that makes sense. But PUBG in particular is such a sweaty game. Or COD Warzone. Oh my god, Call of Duty Warzone is so fucking sweaty. You would think you're in Florida, like it's so sweaty. It's just like, you get in and it's so unfriendly to newcomers. It's like, oh, you're not good at shooters? Well, look, this is what you do. So you start and you run around and you wait for the match to start, and then you get in a bus and you jump out the bus and you land in the middle of nowhere. And then you run around, you look for weapons, you scavenge, you try to find people to squad up with, you try to figure out where you are on the map, where you need to get going. About 45 minutes into the match, you're just going to get shot out of thin air by some asshole. And you're going to be like, wow, that fucking sucked. I didn't even get to do anything. And then that's the game. Game over. So the good thing about Halo is Halo's nothing like that. Halo is so casual. You just play a social playlist. You don't have to be good to have a fun time. You just, take it from me. Take it from anyone here who's joined my streams. They can tell you I'm not that good at Halo. But you get in a Halo match, it's good. You get your AR, you start shooting, you jump around. It's all physics-based. You're throwing grenades off the wall, bouncing them around, jumping everywhere. All the guns are wacky. Some of them are super OP. It's just a good old fun time. That's a really nice thing about arena shooters in general, particularly Halo. I think if FPSs are not generally your thing, you're turned off a little bit by how hard they are, I think Halo's a really good place to start. Much better than something like PUBG. But, COD, I know COD's the most popular shooter, but I still think Call of Duty's pretty tough. It's like the time to kill is so low, so it's like you run out there and before you can even figure out where the gunfire's coming from, boom, you're dead, And yeah, it's friendly because the respawn time is so fast and the action's so fast that it's like, okay, you died, no big deal, you just get right back into the action. But I don't know. I think Halo's pretty damn friendly to newcomers, so maybe give it a try, ERN. But if you don't, that's also cool. There's always 12 minutes available now on Game Pass. I'm not sponsored by anyway. All right, now on the topic of having guests on Xbox On, because we talked about this last week and a couple of you had something to say about it. A handful of you wrote in, but I think Mavsman sums up most people's response quite well, saying, "Call me into the lineup, coach. When you have listeners as guests, I'm good for shit talking, foodie, and of course, Xbox is my daddy talk." So, Mavsman, I'm disgusted. I'm throwing up in my mouth right now by the comment you've made to me. But yes. No, I mean, a handful of you I appreciate. We're actually pretty receptive to the idea of potentially having guests on the show, going as far as being like, hey, I'd be on the show. I would talk to you. I would engage in dialogue with you. And I appreciate that. That's nice. I'm not used to that, so that'd be good. But my brother has an opposing point of view where he says, I don't like the idea of bringing on guests unless the person you're bringing on is like Phil Spencer or someone. So, guys, if you want to go on the podcast, I think what my brother is saying is you have to legally change your name to Phil Spencer. None of this Philip Spencer shit. It's got to be Phil Spencer. Go ahead and do that. Once you've legally changed your name, submit your updated ID to me for proof, and I will get you on the show as soon as possible, okay? But no, I like the idea. I was talking to a friend about it over the weekend, and he kind of put it the way I also think would probably work best, is like, we could do like a guest on the show kind of thing if like someone from the audience wants to do it, but it would have to be like a special thing, like every now and then, like the week after Christmas when there's literally nothing happening in the world of news. That'd be a fun episode to do it, just because it's like, okay, let's have a dick off, interstitial episode. Let's do that. But for the regular week to week run of Xbox On, it's probably going to continue to just be me talking into the void. But I do like this idea. I'm not done with it, but I'm just in a process right now trying to do a lot of things. A lot of things are in motion. So that there's no way this is happening anytime imminently, but I do appreciate you guys writing in, and I do appreciate that there are people who are willing to step up, to join the cause, and potentially one day even get to have their own mindless rant on the Xbox On podcast in the form of something other than a YouTube comment. Now, rounding out the comments this week, we got a couple little quick ones. Speaking of dead Captain James, he says the chicken. I don't even know if I said that. The chicken sandwich at Burger King is the most disappointing thing I've experienced in my life. This is the food talk section of the podcast, guys. Aside from the day my mother gave birth to me, so let me read that sentence again because it was well written and I chopped it up. The chicken sandwich is the most disappointing thing I've experienced in my life. Aside from the day my mother gave birth to me, I had a spicy one and it was just bad. Not having a Chick-fil-A, God's gift to mankind, within 7 hours of me makes me really question life choices. Now, dead Captain James, I don't feel bad that you had the chicken sandwich at Burger King and you wasted money on it and it wasn't good. I don't feel bad about that because I told you so. I warned you. Why would you go and do that? You know better. I told you the sandwich was bad a week or two ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. I gave you ample time. I gave you so much warning. I told you not to get it. And then you went and get it and you were disappointed. So you're an adult. That's your decision. You be disappointed. I know you're not blaming me, but I don't feel bad about that. No sympathy. What I do feel bad about is that you live 7 hours away from a Chick-fil-A. And even though I say regularly on this podcast, Chick-fil-A is a little overrated. I've had enough for one lifetime. I'm kind of over Chick-fil-A. That doesn't mean I hate Chick-fil-A. Listen, I like Chick-fil-A. There's a reason why it's as big as it is. I enjoy Chick-fil-A. I respect Chick-fil-A. And if you are someone who feels like you haven't gotten your life's Chick-fil-A quota in, it's a shame to live 7 hours away from one. That's worse than me living 7 hours away from the nearest Raising Cane's, which, I mean, I guess I don't know if it's really worse because I've never had Raising Cane's, but the fact that you are 7 hours away, guys, real call to action here. Can we get a GoFundMe set up so that we could airmail dead Captain James some Chick-fil-A? Maybe now that the U.S. is pulling out of Afghanistan, we can use some of those drones they won't be using to drop in a number one combo with a Coke Light Ice and dude, you got to get some Chick-fil-A sauce and one of those cookies and cream milkshakes. You just got to do it. So, dead Captain James, I'm sorry to hear that. Now, Josiah, my brother, who's getting double penetration this week, says, I had the McDonald's chicken sandwich and the Chick-fil-A sandwich this week. Just to add to the conversation, the McDonald's one was trash, 4 out of 10. The chicken was dry and tasteless. Chick-fil-A was Chick-fil-A. I really want to try the Popeyes one finally. So I just don't understand why you would even go to this extent to start trying the sandwiches for the sake of being in the know and being just having the experience and understanding the conversation better. But then you don't get the Popeyes one. Like, what the fuck? You've had Chick-fil-A. You know what that's all about. And I understand you want to have a fresh one so you can compare it in the moment to the McDonald's one, but why the fuck aren't you getting the Popeyes one? That's like saying I really want to get a feel for what all the next gen consoles are like right now. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna buy an Xbox Series X, and I'm gonna compare it to my Nintendo Switch to see which one's better. It's like what are you fucking talking about, man? It's like you can't just leave the PS5 out of the conversation. That's the other big next gen console. But no, here you are leaving the PS5 on the table, collecting dust, just like the Popeye sandwich. And yeah. Just like it's great that you had Chick-fil-A. Everyone knows Chick-fil-A is great. Great that you got the Xbox Series X. Who doesn't love the Xbox Series X? After all, it's an Xbox podcast where we talk about Xbox sometimes. But you just left the PS5 out and you call yourself a fucking gamer. All right, Mavs Man jumping in here, responding to my brother, says, you're doing yourself a disservice until you've had the king of sandwiches. Now, was it worth the hype a few years ago? No. But it is a damn fine sandwich and currently at the top of the chicken sandwich power rankings. Mavs man, couldn't have said it better myself. And then finally, my mother writes in and says, excuse me, but what are elephants doing in the rainforest? Referring to Rainforest Cafe, of course. And I said, being awesome. Now that's going to do it for all of our comments, shoutouts, and whatnot for this week. Remember, guys, for next week, don't be shy. Reply. Now let's jump into what I've been playing, but before I can tell you about what I've been playing, there's only one thing I gotta tell you. It's what I've been eating. Now, a couple weeks ago, Mr. Miggy was in the state of Florida, in the city of Orlando, on what you might call a vacation. He stopped at a local place called the Wawa. It's a convenience store chain. You may know it if you're from the Northeast or Florida or whatever. Who gives a shit? In the Wawa, he tried a milkshake. It was the Chips Ahoy milkshake from Wawa, and you recommended it to me, and I said, oh, I count calories now. I can't have a Chips Ahoy milkshake, but it sounds good. I'm sure it's great. Fuck you. I kind of blew you off. But this past week, I found myself in a Wawa for the first time in a while, and it was see, this is the mistake I made. I went right after work, and I had like an hour of traffic ahead of me. So it was that thing of like, oh man, I'm hungry. I want to be home. I'm kind of irritated. Don't want to be here right now. I could spend $3 and make myself, happy again. If I eat something that tastes good, the endorphins might go off in my head and make everything all right for a moment. So I saw the ad for the Chips Ahoy milkshake at the Wawa, and I did the bad thing and I ordered one. And Mr. Miggy, gotta be honest with you, I don't regret it one bit. You were right. The Chips Ahoy milkshake at Wawa is by and large one of the best milkshakes I've had in a long time. Now, I just recommended the cookies and cream milkshake from Dead Captain James, from Chick-fil-A. Iconic milkshake, one of the great milkshakes of all time in the fast food realm. But boy, oh boy, this one tops it. It's like a nice, it's not too thick of a milkshake, which I really appreciate. So you don't do all that sucking with no milk. You know what I mean? If you're gonna suck, you might as well get some milk. That's what I always say. And when you suck on this milkshake, you get the milk. And that's one thing I really love about it. Now, the chunks of Chips Ahoy cookies, do they get lodged in the straw? No, because they make the next gen genius idea to make the chunks of Chips Ahoy either so fine that they're grained up and mixed into the milkshake so they slurp up the straw with ease, or you get the other chunks, which are way too big for a straw anyway, so you kind of eat it along with the whipped cream. You go scooping it out. So you get two of them. You get the best of both worlds. You get the big chunks you got to scoop out and eat with a spoon, or you get the little fine grain parts that are mixed in the milkshake and just add to the flavor. But you don't get those annoying fucking medium-sized chunks of cookie that just get lodged in the straw and interrupt your milk satisfaction from your, like I say, if you're going to suck, you might as well get the milk. You don't want your milk getting jammed up in the hole, in the tube. And that's, I gotta be honest with you, man, this is a phenomenal milkshake. I would give it a 9.3 out of 10. The only thing that could make it any better than a 9.3 would be if it were served in like some kind of rainforest like setting. But since that isn't the case, I do have to dock it, of course. But Mr. Miggy, thank you for the recommendation. It is wonderful. I'm still thinking about that milkshake today, and it's been almost a full week since I've had it. In fact, I even managed, by the grace of God, to save like the last fifth of that milkshake until I got home, so I could give it to my girlfriend and be like, you gotta try this. And even my girlfriend, she and I usually we diverge a lot when it comes to desserts or sweet things. We have very different preferences when it comes to sweet treats, but even she liked the milk. So Mr. Miggy, thank you for the recommendation. That's what I've been eating. Now, as for what I've been playing, still struggling a little bit with just trying to find some time for like personal gaming with the streaming and all the other stuff going on right now. But I have been playing some new games, some interesting games, playing a lot of Halo on the stream. But we've been backing off from that a little bit. I finally tried Splitgate, and I gotta be honest with you guys, I don't know if I talked about this last week, but Splitgate's fucking awesome. I really, really like Splitgate. I did not think I was going to like this game. I had every intention, of giving it a try, but I really thought I'd be like, okay, it's fine, move on with life. But Splitgate is very fun, to the point where, like, all last weekend I found myself trying to sneak matches where I could, here and there. Like, all right, I got 15 minutes to play a quick match of Splitgate before I got to go do taxes or whatever. And it was great. It's a really fun game. My only gripe with Splitgate is that the art style is so horrendous. I fucking hate the way this game looks. It looks like bad Halo 4. It looks like Halo 4 made sexy time with all the bad generic sci-fi games. It looks like, what's that French developer that makes all the iPhone games? Gameloft. It basically looks like a Gameloft game, but for PC and Xbox. But man, oh man, the thing is, above that, beyond the shitty art style and the uninspired art direction, the gameplay is so fun. The weapons are fun. The gameplay is fun. And you would think the portal thing is completely game breaking. You would think people would manipulate the fuck out of the portal thing and you would just constantly get killed from all directions and you wouldn't know what's going on. But the portal thing is actually so well balanced. You can only put portals in certain places. And it works kind of like this. You either don't really know how to take full advantage of the portals and therefore it doesn't really affect it. And it's just a generic fun arena shooter, or you learn how to really work the hell out of the portals, and it just gives you this really like extra added layer of fun mechanics to the game without it feeling like cheap or cheating or unfair. It's really, really amazing how this somehow actually fucking works. But yeah, I'm not too great with the portals, but I've gotten a couple of kills, or I've had a couple kill streaks where like the portals have played a role. I'm like, that's so fucking, it's so fun. It's like, like you go up to a platform, like boom, there's a guy, you take him out with his shotgun. You see a guy in the distance, switch to your sniper rifle, get that motherfucker. Now there's two guys coming up the stairs, they're about to come at you. So you shoot a portal, you jump through the portal, they get up the stairs and they're like, where the fuck did that guy go? And now you're on the other dimension looking through the portal you just came in, and you get those bitches out of thin air. They're like, oh my God, didn't see that coming. It's so fun. When you pull it off, it's so satisfying. Splitgate is very, very good. I think some of the guns are like a little wonky with the balancing, but I don't mind. The time to kill could be a little longer in my opinion, but overall, just from a pure gameplay perspective, Splitgate is way more fun than it has any right being, and I'm really welcome. I'm really glad to welcome that game into the rotation of just knockoff, fun, goofy multiplayer games that I plan on continuing to play. Now, that game made me a little nostalgic for some other arena shooters. You know, playing so much Halo, now we're playing some Splitgate. I love arena shooters. Whatever happened to the arena shooter? So now I got this gaming PC. It's a sick ass PC that'll make 14-year-old boys with acne and mop hair very interested in what I have to say. So I said, what are the kids playing these days? And I went ahead and I tried Quake Champions. Now, this game came out many years ago, 2017, I believe, and I never gave it a try. So I was like, fuck it, let's do it. I used to love Quake back in the day. I played the hell out of some Quake 2 and Quake 4. So I was like, let's do this. And I downloaded Quake Champions, and that game's pretty fucking cool also. It feels like classic Quake with a little bit of like a hero shooter twist to it. But the problem with Quake Champions, you know, it's a free-to-play game. It's one of those games that you don't hear about it all too much, but it has its really dedicated audience. The problem is that dedicated audience are the fucking like New York Yankees of free-to-play multiplayer gamers. They're just obnoxiously good, and it's unfair, and it's not fun. Like, you get into a game, you're like, oh man, I can't wait to give this game a try. Boom, you're dead. And I don't understand a lot of the item pickups in this game because I'm like, all right, we're all spawning with 25% health, but this guy, you know, I put like a fucking 7 rockets in an anal bead up this guy's butthole, and he still won't die. But then he like looks at me in the wrong direction and shoots me in like the toe, and I fucking one-hit kill. Like, I don't get it. It's hard as fuck, but it's a cool game. So I've been playing on the bot mode a little bit, dabbling with the Quake Champions. Fun game. I'm going to get into it a little more, but I don't think I can really sustain this game, a relationship with this game, for the simple fact that it's just too hard for my bitch ass. And then lastly, I played some more Back 4 Blood beta, but honestly, I didn't play it nearly as much as I was planning on it, so I can't speak to it that much other than to say I was a little disappointed because I was playing the campaign in the beta on normal difficulty, and it's like having a good time. It's very Left 4 Dead-like, a little easier than I remember Left 4 Dead being. And then when you get to the finale of the campaign, the difficulty just randomly spikes like crazy. Like, me and my brother were trying to play, and we just, like, it just difficulty spikes out the ass, and then you just keep dying and dying and dying, and if you die enough, it just restarts the entire campaign. You get game over like it's a fucking Mario game from 1998. I'm like, what the hell is this? So I kind of got a little aggro. I'm like, just got into Splitgate. Splitgate's a lot of fun. Trying to play Back 4 Blood, but it's being a little frustrating and wonky with the difficulty spike. Fuck it. And I just kept playing Splitgate. So I'll come back to Back 4 Blood when it comes out in October. I feel bad that I didn't have more fun and I wasn't more excited for it because I'm such a big Left 4 Dead fan, and I would think that a new Left 4 Dead game would have me like over the moon, you know. I would think that this would be like, you know, apart from like a new Halo game or a new Sonic game, a new Left 4 Dead game is about as excited as I could get for a new game. So the fact that Back 4 Blood doesn't have me like giddy is concerning to me because it looks like Left 4 Dead, it plays like Left 4 Dead. It has the necessary trappings, but for whatever reason, there are just enough things about this game that are putting me off, between the card system and the little hub world menu and all this stuff, the difficulty spikes, and the fact that they don't call the zombies, they call them like, what is it? They call them like whatever it is. It's just the alien zombie shit, like all this stuff. It's a little much for me. I'm like, I just want, like, the thing that was awesome about Left 4 Dead is it was so tropey. It was like every little campaign was a sweet little 40-minute playthrough, fun as can be, and they were all themed to like specific zombie fall themed tropes. It's like, here's the one where they're in, you know, downtown New York City in the middle of a zombie apocalypse. Here's the one where they're in, you know, the crop fields and the crows are out and it's nighttime and it's fall and there's the tractors and they're going through the barn and shit. It's like, and here's the one where it's like, oh, the crashed plane, I don't know if they're gonna make it, you know, oh man, it's so cool. Here's the one where they're out on the lake, you know, and they're trying to escape on the boat and the zombies are coming from them. I just, it's so tropey, it's so typical, it's so fun. It's the same way I feel about haunted houses. Like, for some reason, I just love when scary stuff is like generically scary. You know, it's like non-specific in any way. I don't know why I take to that so much. It's the second you start specifying that you lose me. I guess it's like when horror starts to take itself seriously is when I get lost. It's like you start naming the zombie something specific, you give them background lore, and you make me select fucking playing cards like I'm a goddamn poker champion. It's like, okay, now you're losing me. You know, it's like, I don't need to know the zombie's backstory. I don't need to have all this lore surrounding this shit. Like, I just want to pick up a shotgun and shoot a zombie. And Back 4 Blood, for some reason, it just somehow manages slightly missed the mark. But the problem is I haven't played enough. I probably played a collective like 3 to 4 hours of this game. So I just haven't played enough to really give a nuanced take of why it's not resonating with me. It's very premature kind of analysis I'm giving here. So that's not by any stretch of the imagination a final verdict. I am still excited for this game. I still look forward to playing more, but it just hasn't been doing it for me thus far. So that's kind of what I've been playing. Splitgate is the standout of the bunch for me as of now. But starting sometime this weekend, if I can find fucking an hour to myself, I do want to play the Tales of Arise demo. I don't know what's going on with me. I'm getting a little weebier by the years, but I like Bandai Namco's RPGs a lot more than like a Square Enix RPG, and I just think Tales of Arise looks pretty good. I really enjoyed Scarlet Nexus, and now I'm hoping that, Tales of Arise might be the first Tales game since Tales of Symphonia to really get me back into this franchise. So we'll see about that. But yep, that's it for what I've been playing, guys. And with that all out of the way, we're done with the opening segments. We said all the things. I plugged my channels. Please subscribe on YouTube, follow on Twitch. If you do this, I will come over and give you all the massage, any part you want. I'll do the back, I'll do the feet. I'm not going to do neck massages because I'm deeply afraid by skeleton structures. But, if you want to give me a follow or a like, that'd be always very much appreciated. But with that out of the way, guys, we're going to jump into the news. Let's talk about Xbox.
But wait, we got an emergency comment. Temple Knight wrote in literally just as I was about to start the news. I got the notification on my phone, and he says, we got to read it, guys, sorry. With Forza Motorsport 7 being delisted soon, I've downloaded to my Series X to give it a shot. It's got a lot of detail and customization beyond what I expected. Do you think it's worth the $20 to own before I can't get it? I'm a casual race fan, and it may be a while before we get to see the next Motorsport entry. I've also got Game Pass, so I'll have access to it when it eventually does drop. Shout out to Josiah for trying out some chicken sandwiches. All right, Temple Knight, this is a very important question. So, Forza Motorsport 7, the latest of the motorsport games, is being delisted, and this is pretty typical of Forza games. They usually get delisted within like 3 to 5 years of their launch. Yeah, so it is still on Game Pass at the moment, right? It's definitely worth a play on Game Pass. If you want to buy the game for $20 now, I think it's a decent deal. And here's why. The next Forza Motorsport game, they've already announced it. They announced it last year. It's probably coming out next year. Usually it's an alternating thing where it's like Motorsport, then Horizon, then Motorsport, then Horizon. And last year we didn't get a Forza, which was odd, I know. But, pandemic and all these other things. And then this year we're getting Forza Horizon 5. But I think we're going to get the next Forza Motorsport next year because they already announced it last year, and they announced it as a games as a service type thing. So the next Forza Motorsport is going to be to Forza what Halo Infinite is to Halo, where they're like, oh, this is the platform. It's like a 10-year game. So I think their plan is going to be to have it out next fall. I would be surprised if it's anything beyond that, and if it is, it would only be 2023. But even then, let's assume it comes out next fall, 2022. It would be worth, $20 to get Forza Motorsport 7 now before it's delisted this September, so that for the next 12 months, you've got yourself a Forza, the latest and greatest Forza Motorsport to play. But keep in mind, if you're only a casual fan of this kind of game, you could play like a lot of other games, the F1 games, all these Codemaster racing games that just went into Game Pass. You can play Forza Horizon, which is obviously in Game Pass as well. All these other games, Forza Horizon 5 is about to come out in November, and you could use these to hold you over. Now, the difference is Forza Motorsport is a very techie, very nerdy, simulating track racing game. It's not arcadey like Horizon and like Dirt and these other games. So that there is that to be said. But again, if you have to have that kind of classic Forza Motorsport action, then I would say, yeah, $20, it's worth it, because it's going to get you at least a year before the next Motorsport comes out. But I think otherwise, since you do say you are a pretty casual racing fan, I think there's plenty of racing games on Game Pass and plenty more to come over the next few months that you have enough to keep you busy. So it's really a question you got to ask yourself. Do you need the more authentic, track-like, nitty-gritty, nerdy experience of Forza Motorsport, or do you just need some fun racing games? Because if that's the case, Game Pass got you covered. You don't need to spend no money on that. But I understand the want to maybe buy a physical copy of Forza Motorsport 7, preserve the history a little bit. I always lament when those games go off online, because it's sad, That's why I bought Forza Motorsport 3 and things like that, or Forza Horizon 3, is because, like, I love these specific titles and I want to, preserve them and be able to access them even once the licenses expire. And that's why these things happen, because there's so many licenses between car brands and car makes and models and music and all this stuff, where it just doesn't make financial sense for them to try to constantly re-up all these various contracts they have in every game when they have another game in the pipeline. So obviously part of the next Forza game being a games as a service type platform is, an attempt to combat this constant issue they're having with each entry. But I would recommend you buy it if you got to have it. If you don't, if you're a more casual racing fan, just take the next year to really enjoy all the racing content Game Pass has to offer. Maybe broaden your horizons a bit, All right. A little surprise last minute comment there. But guys, we've got news to talk about. So our first news story of the day comes straight from the horse's mouth, IGN.com. They say the announcement of a new game mode, aptly titled Fortnite Imposters, was published by Epic Games on its website this week. According to the developer, Fortnite Imposter is a high-fidelity game mode that will feature a maximum of 10 players. At the start of each round, players will be split up into teams of 8 agents and 2 imposters on the new map known as the Bridge, a facility used by the Imagined Order to maintain control of the Fortnite island. In a similar style to Among Us, the 8 agents must work together to maintain the order on the bridge, while simultaneously rooting out the charlatans in their ranks. Throughout the map, each agent will have a number of unique assignments to carry out. These range from repeating battle busts to calibrating llamas across a top-secret facility. In contrast, the roles of the imposters quite simple. Eliminate enough of the agents to overrun the control of the bridge without being voted off the map. I'm sure this all sounds very familiar to you, and if it sounds familiar, listen to this part. Soon after this news was announced, Among Us developer Innersloth confirmed to IGN that the team did not work with Epic Games on this Fortnite imposter mode at all, but they do say that fans should keep an eye out for collaborations between Among Us and other indie developers soon. Here's the team's full statement. We didn't work with Epic on it, although we would have loved to. We found out the same way everyone else did. We've been working on some really cool collabs with other indie developers that we can hopefully share soon enough. Now, also in addition to this, the developers behind Among Us, of which there are only like 3 or 4, it's a small team or whatever, were tweeting out, kind of like takes on this. And it seemed like a lot of it was like, hey man, we don't own, these concepts. We don't have a patent on this kind of game. We didn't invent this. We just popularized it. But like, it's kind of lame that you like took what we did beat for beat and didn't even try to do your own spin on it. You basically just made, Among Us in Fortnite. And that was this has kind of sparked some controversy where a lot of people are like, Fortnite, that wasn't cool. And the real reason why this stands out so much is because Fortnite, the massively successful phenomenon that this game is only as big as it is because it was Epic's, response to PUBG. It was their way of saying, hey, this battle royale thing seems to be like taking off. I wonder if we could do it. And so they took their fort defense, whatever game they were working on, Fortnite, Save the World, and pivoted to this secondary battle royale mode that just blew up overnight and eventually became the thing we know today as Fortnite. And it's just kind of funny because it's like, well, Fortnite, made its name by just kind of copying this trend that was popular at the time. And now, they're still on top. They're still the big dog. But now there's these other trends, like games like Among Us, that are getting huge. And their response is like, yeah, let's ape that too. And so now there's a new Fortnite mode that's Among Us, just like there's the Fortnite mode that's PUBG. And obviously there's nothing wrong with this. You think about it, it's like, that'd be like complaining that like, oh, Call of Duty's ripping off Halo because Halo has Team Deathmatch, but Halo's ripping off Unreal Tournament and Quake because it has Team Deathmatch, which is, it's like we're not here to talk about who invented Team Deathmatch and who has the rights to it. But the complaint here is that what they've done here is just so one-to-one. It's so incredibly egregious that it's like, well, if you had made it at least somewhat unique, maybe people wouldn't be like Apex Legends, for example. Like Apex Legends is a battle royale game, but it's nothing like PUBG. It's the mechanics, the gameplay are completely different. It's first person, it's squads of 3. It has to be squads of 3, and the mechanics are so incredibly different. It's about, traversal and sliding and all these kinds of different maneuverabilities. The armor upgrade system and the weapons system is entirely different. The characters, it has like a hero shooter kind of infusion to it, where every character has its own special abilities and traits. It has an art style that makes it stand out above the rest. It has so much going for it in Apex Legends that it's like, well, yeah, Apex Legends is a battle royale game, but it's not a PUBG ripoff, And even Fortnite, I would say, is different enough from PUBG that it's like, oh, well, Fortnite's not a PUBG ripoff, It's like their version of that because it's got the building mechanic and it's got the throw up in your face art style and all this shit. It's like, oh, it's cute. They got the little battle bus thing. It's like it's different enough that it's its own thing. But this mode, the issue here is that people are looking at it and they're saying, you didn't do enough to make this like Fortnite's take on an Among Us type game. They're like, no, this is pretty much just like you guys blatantly ripping off Among Us. And that's kind of the criticism here. And now I don't totally buy this criticism 100%. Again, it's like, it's not like they had this patented or trademarked or anything. It's I don't know. Like, this is what happens when you believe in a sort of free market kind of game sphere, right? And I saw Windows Central, Jez Corden, actually, who, I love and respect. We always talk about him. We use their articles all the time on the show. But I saw him kind of like venting a little bit about like how this is hypocritical of Epic, the guys behind Fortnite, because they're in this lawsuit with Apple right now about how it's unfair for, it's hypocritical for them to be calling out Apple for like taking all this money from small time developers, taking huge cuts from the App Store, and kind of like belittling and holding down the little developers so that they can gain, being the top dogs at the top of the pyramid. It's like, it's kind of hypocritical for them to be suing Apple over that on one side of their mouth, and then on the other side of their mouth, they're like, hey, introducing this new thing that's basically ripping off a small developer that we're going to profit greatly off of. It's like, I understand the knee-jerk, like, parallel to draw there, but I don't think it's entirely a one-for-one, because if you really pay attention to the nitty-gritty, and the thing is, Jez Corden's European, he couldn't possibly know this, so you gotta forgive him. He's not familiar enough with American economics enough to know, and that's a joke, by the way. But Epic Games CEO Tim Sweeney, he had a very kind of like free market approach to this like Apple lawsuit, where his whole thing wasn't that Apple should be like paying developers or spotlighting developers or shouldn't be taking ideas from developers, but rather that it was they take too much of a cut from developers, profits and sales on their app store, and that it was they deny certain developers, access to their store, take their ideas and then outdo them and put them out of business, more or less. What Epic has done here with their imposter mode isn't like, it's not like totally unfair to Among Us. It's not like they said, well, Among Us can't be sold on the Epic Games Store, and we want to make money off Among Us so that we can rake in the cash on the success of that game. It's that's not what they're doing here. They're just saying like, you made this game that's very popular, we're going to do our own version of it and made the best product win. It's I'm not trying to like preach a libertarian free market capitalist kind of like a message here and say it's the right thing to do, but I'm just saying, if you pay attention enough to that lawsuit between Apple and Epic, this seems pretty much in line with what Tim Sweeney was really talking about, which is like, let the better product win. Make a market where the two things can stand on their own as individual products, and the consumers will decide what the better thing is. Because even if this is a blatant ripoff, and I agree to an extent, I think it's somewhat uninspired and a little uncreative what they've done here. Like I'm in agreement on that much, but if you think about it, it's like, it's not like by making this mode, Epic has reached into the pockets of the Among Us developers and stolen their money or taken a cut of their game sales or anything like that. At the end of the day, if people play both of these games, they still have the right to be like, I don't know, I like Among Us better. Like, oh, hey, this Fortnite version's better than Among Us. Let's start playing Fortnite's imposter mode. I don't know. It's like all they've done is created their own version of a thing that's popular that they have every legal right to do, and now consumers can try both versions and decide which one they like. So is it a little tasteless? Yeah. Is it a little tacky to just kind of take their idea and to kind of not really put enough of a creative spin on it and to not really do much to reinvent the wheel? Yeah, sure. It's like reaction videos on YouTube. It's like, you're not fucking adding to anything. You're just watching someone else's content and then talking over it. It's like, that's not really like content in itself. It's just kind of like aping other people's work. It's tacky. Shouldn't be illegal. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just, it's not, it doesn't make you a bad guy. It's just kind of like lame, So I don't know. I don't take as much issue with this. I think, again, it's like, let's wait till the mode's out. Is this imposter mode good? Is it fun? Is it better than Among Us? I bet it's probably not. A lot of Among Us's charm is that it's this tiny little file size that can run and play very well on everything from a shitty work laptop to an iPhone to a gaming PC to an Xbox, so everyone can play it. It's 2D and simple, and the art style is simplistic enough that anyone and everyone can see what it is, see what's going on, jump in and play and get a hang of it. Fortnite, it's a little more obtuse. It's a 3D game. It's this thing that's heavily associated with a very specific crowd. It's like you're not going to see Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez jump in on a live stream to play Fortnite the way she did to play Among Us. Among Us is a very specific thing that captured a very specific kind of person, and I think it's one of those things that kind of transcended beyond just the gamer crowd. So, let's not write it off and assume that this is just stealing Among Us's lunch and that's going to be an unfair battle when just because Fortnite's the huge thing it is. I still think Among Us has got a lot of opportunity here and a lot of a chance to be like, no, man, we created this. We're the kings here. We're going to stand our ground. And at the end of the day, when we go toe to toe, people are going to realize our game's better, our product's better. And I don't know. I think this is a little overblown. It's like, yeah, it's kind of lame. It'd be cool if they did an Among Us inspired mode, but they put their twist on it. I don't know what that would be. Maybe it's like you can build your way in. You can in Fortnite you can build shit with wood blocks and stuff. Maybe you can build yourself a personality so people will think you're someone you're not and they'll never know you're the imposter. I don't fucking know. Listen, I don't make Fortnite. You guys put yourself in that corner by making Fortnite. Don't blame me. But I don't know. I just think it's a little bit of an overblown situation. Nonetheless, you guys let me know what you think about that. I'd actually be interested to hear a couple different takes because I feel like my take's probably a little bit of an unpopular one on that story. So I'd be interested to see how people object to it. Speaking of Fortnite, our next story comes from IGN and reads that Outriders developer People Can Fly says that it doesn't know how many copies of their game they have sold, and they haven't even earned any royalties from the game, suggesting it hasn't been very profitable for publisher Square Enix. Announced on the developer's investor website, People Can Fly explained that the agreement with Square Enix meant that it would receive any royalties for the game's first quarter on sale by August 16th, 2021. No funds were transferred, which People Can Fly suggests means that according to the publisher, the revenue from the sale of the game are lower than the total cost of production, including quality assurance, distribution, and promotion. People Can Fly executive Sebastian Wojciechowski added that the company had no firm data for copies sold, saying, quote, "We don't have any sales figures for Outriders. We estimate that between 2 and 3 million units have been sold and assume that was a result that would ensure profitability for the project in the first quarter of sales. The lack of payment by the publisher probably means that according to Square Enix, this is not the case." Wojciechowski, or however you say it, also suggested that the lack of profitability could be caused by the publisher, including distribution partners, that the game was launched in a Game Pass, for example, or that Square Enix has spent more than expected on releasing the game. It wouldn't be a unique situation for Square, since last year the publisher announced that Marvel's Avengers had failed to recoup its development costs a few months later after launch. Wojciechowski added that the game was still being worked on. People Can Fly expected more promotional work from Square Enix and that the sales tail of Outriders game is already ahead of us. As a result, the company expected royalties to begin this year. IGN contacted Square Enix for comment. People Can Fly is currently working on new games for both Square Enix and Take-Two, but Wojciechowski says a third new game is in the planning stages, with the developer intending to self-publish it. That seems to come down in part to the situation like Outriders, saying, quote, "Working with publishers has many advantages, but it also has disadvantages. One of them is low impact on sales activities and incompleteness, or as in this case, lack of data obtained from publishers in this regard. This is one of the reasons why, apart from working with publishers, we have decided to develop more projects whose IP will remain the property of the company and which will be published by the company." So this is a weird one to me because shortly after Outriders came out, we were put under the impression by initial reports that the game was doing much better than expected and that Square Enix was quite pleased with the performance of Outriders. So that's why I have a bit of a head-scratching moment on this one. Now, I've seen a lot of people talking about how, well, the game had a lot of bugs at launch, so it's no surprise that it failed. I don't buy that at all, actually. I think here's the thing is, remember last year Square Enix's problem was that Avengers game came out, it sucked, no one liked it, and it way underperformed, and they spent so much fucking money on it because the Avengers license is expensive, and they spent a lot of money on marketing. The whole thing with Outriders was, well, they got another one of these games like service type deals up coming down the pipeline. You think they're fucked 2 times in a row? And so they made the decision to delay Outriders out of February into April, and they put out a demo so people could try before they buy. try and get a taste for the game, hoping that would pique interest and boost pre-order numbers and things like that. And if you'll remember, the demo went really well. Like millions of people downloaded and played the demo when it was out. And then the other big announcement was, it's coming to Game Pass. So tons and tons of Xbox players will just have access to it through Game Pass. So the 1-2 combo of here's the demo, we're releasing it in a slow kind of lull moment for game releases, paired with Game Pass, so tons of players will just have access to it. All of that together put a bunch of interest in the game, and we saw a lot of people go from not even knowing this game existed to talking about it a lot. And then NPD numbers reported that it was actually a pretty big selling game, especially on PlayStation platforms where they didn't have Game Pass, so players didn't have free access to the game, or included access with their subscription, I should say. So we had a lot of anecdotal evidence up until this point to show that Outriders actually kind of did better than we were initially thinking. People thought this was going to be a game that no one knew about, no one saw coming, kind of came and went, flopped, end of story. But it ended up being a game where it's like people last minute started paying attention to it. It went on Game Pass. It got a lot of goodwill from the Xbox community, and then a lot of people ended up buying it anyway, even on PlayStation. And the game was something of a moderate success, considering that it came out in a time where everyone had a new next-gen console, was still in lockdown from a pandemic, and we're eager to play new games. So until this point, everyone, or at least I was, under the impression that Outriders did pretty well. So I have a hard time shaking all that information and just being like, I guess it underperformed. So there's a couple things here. There's always the possibility that, yes, Square Enix way overspent on marketing. Maybe development costs were under control, and then People Can Fly hand off the project to Square Enix, and they went way too hard on the marketing and all that, and then ended up just squandering the profitability of the game by spending too much money on trying to promote it. I don't think that's the case because we didn't see too big of a marketing push for this game, but that's a possibility, right? The other thing is, it's possible that Square Enix is doing some shady shit here, because we don't know how much they got paid from Microsoft to put this game on Game Pass, and then we don't know how much they skew those numbers from revenue or profitability or copies sold of the game. So, for example, right now we know in the movies industry, Scarlett Johansson, the actress, is suing the Walt Disney Company because Disney did that really scummy thing where they're like, oh yeah, you'll get a bonus, you have the potential to earn bonus money based on how this movie performs its first couple of weekends at the box office. And then nowhere in the contract did it mention that Disney was also going to put that new Black Widow movie. Sorry, this is all regarding the new Black Widow movie. But nowhere in Scarlett Johansson's contract did Disney mention that they were going to put Black Widow on Disney Plus for premiere access, basically meaning that people didn't have to go to the movie theater to watch the new Black Widow movie. They could just go on their TV at home and watch on Disney Plus by paying like $15-$30, whatever it was, to download it early. So she wasn't made aware of that. The movie somewhat underperforms at the box office. No big surprise there. She doesn't meet the sales. She doesn't meet the ticket sales goal or whatever to get her bonus that was in her contract. She's pissed. She wasn't told this. Now she's suing Disney. It's a whole big thing that's happening in Hollywood right now. I kind of see this as a potential similar thing, not where I'm saying that People Can Fly is suing Square Enix. We don't know that Square Enix necessarily has done anything wrong, but it is possible that they told People Can Fly, yeah, we're gonna give you royalties based on the game sales once it hits a certain threshold. And then what happened was the game sold incredibly soft on Xbox because Game Pass, and Square Enix didn't take that into account. They said, well, if all the people who played the game on Xbox purchased the game at $60 rather than played it through Game Pass, yeah, we would have done well enough that you guys would have gotten your royalty money. But as it turns out, those people didn't pay $60 a pop to play this game. They just played it through Game Pass, and we just got a lump sum of money from Microsoft for putting the game on our service. So that doesn't really count. It's not the same thing. It's not what we agreed to. Suck it, you don't get your royalty money. And I think there's a possibility that could be what happened. Now, I'm not saying Square Enix are a shitty company and that they have a track record for doing these things. No. But, I'm always a little weary of big business. I always assume they're doing something shitty. So that's why my mind goes here and thinks of this. Plus, the Disney example I just brought up, I'm like, could be a very similar circumstance. We live in a weird time now where games aren't as simple as you just buy them or you don't buy them, or movies aren't as simple as you go to the theater and see it or you don't see it. We live in a world now where you can have HBO Max or Disney Plus and see the new movie that just came out from your home. We live in a world where sometimes a brand new game comes out developed by PlayStation, and for some reason you get it for free on Xbox. It's a weird free, obviously you pay for the subscription, but you know what I mean? We live in a weird time here where a lot of conventional thinking is being flipped on its head. So it wouldn't surprise me entirely if that's what is happening here. So I just want to put that out there. different way to interpret it. Obviously, it's very speculative. We could never know for sure, and it's not very fair to make that assumption without any concrete evidence. But I can't help but just, have my mind go there and speculate on that. Again, I don't have hard numbers, but it seemed pretty firm, pretty concrete that Outriders had done pretty well. And they even said, didn't they, like a month or two after the game came out, that like Outriders is something of a success. We're going to work on more. We're investing more in this franchise. We're going to do DLC or a sequel or something. They said they were going to do more in the Outriders IP. So why would that be the case if the game wasn't performing? And if the game was performing, how would they have not hit their sales goals to earn royalty money? So it just seems like there's some missing information, missing data, missing facts here, and we're not able to really paint the full picture, because I really don't buy this whole, well, I guess the game didn't do too well. And I saw a lot of people saying, oh, well, the game came out, it had so many server issues and so many bugs that really fucked things up. It's like, I don't know, man, that's not really how these things work. Like, games come out broken all the time, and that doesn't hurt the sales. What hurts the sales is if it's not a game people want to buy. People buy bad, broken games all the fucking time. Look at the sale of Cyberpunk. Look at how incredibly well Cyberpunk sold. It didn't matter how fucking broken that game was. People still kept fucking buying it. That game was still charting on NPD months after it came out, even though it was fucking broken. And PlayStation took it off their digital marketplace because it was broken. So I don't buy the whole like, oh, well, it was buggy and glitchy and that deterred a lot of people so they didn't buy it. I don't think that's true. I think there's more here and we don't know it. But I do hope we get an update on this. I hope we see this story continue to develop and we learn more, because I think there's some miscommunication or misunderstanding or some kind of contractual loophole happening here where these guys aren't getting their money. But I don't think Outriders wasn't a Super Smash Bros, Last of Us, Halo 3 level like seller. I'm not saying that. But, I think Outriders sold well, at least better than this story leads on. So we will have to hope we get an update on that at some point. All right, and then our next big one here comes from Windows Central. Speaking of Jez Corden, Rockstar Games is remastering 3 Grand Theft Auto games on Xbox and PC, according to a report from Kotaku. The games in question are Grand Theft Auto 3, Grand Theft Auto Vice City, and Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, which originally launched in 2001, 2, and 4 respectively. The games are reportedly being remastered using Epic's Unreal Engine, while development of the remasters is being led by Rockstar Dundee. The Scottish studio is the newest addition to the Rockstar Games and was known as Ruffian Games before being acquired. That was about a year ago. We reported that on the show. Ruffian Games was the lead developer of Crackdown 2 and also provided support work for Halo the Master Chief Collection. The plans for the remastered games are also reportedly shifted due to the pandemic, with the possibility that the games might launch in November, but the mobile and PC versions of the game could be delayed to next year. It also appears that the 3 games will be bundled together as a digital-only package. Per the report, new ports of the game like Red Dead Redemption are also possibly on the table, though this could depend on the sales of the remastered GTA trilogy. 2019 Western adventure Red Dead Redemption 2 sold over 38 million units as of early 2021, so that could be a reason or motivating factor for wanting to do that. Now, Rockstar Games' latest entry in the Grand Theft Auto series, of course, Grand Theft Auto 5, recently crossed the 150 million copies sold milestone, with the new version of GTA 5 on Series X and Series S scheduled to launch this November 11th. So yeah, that makes these the likely suspects. Now, I don't see how this isn't the case. Rockstar Dundee was officially brought on board about a year ago for this very, these guys have a history working on ports and working on things like that, and they were brought in for this kind of thing. Again, obviously, Rockstar doesn't really make games other than GTA Online anymore, so there's really only 2 possibilities. The port studio they bought is either making ports, or the port studio they bought is working on more content for GTA Online, which is possible. But I think it's pretty obvious that they're probably working on like new remaster port type deals. So I believe this story 100%. I believe this rumor 100%. I think this is almost all but definitely happening with serious confidence. What is there to say? This is cool, I guess, considering the fact that Grand Theft Auto 5 is now like one of the top 3 best-selling games of all time, not including bundled products like Wii Sports. This is, it's expected. They need to do more with Grand Theft Auto, but the problem is Grand Theft Auto 5 came out in 2013. It's 2021. So 8 years ago, we got a Grand Theft Auto game, and ever since then, we've just been like, where's that story DLC? Where's that next Grand Theft Auto game? And this offers them a way of being like, hey, all those people that aren't into GTA Online, all those people that want new GTA, just throw them a fucking bone. Just give them some remastered ports of the games they miss, right? And yeah, I'll take it. Like I would buy this. I'm not even that big. I think Grand Theft Auto is kind of overrated. And I don't appreciate it nearly as much as it seems like a lot of other people do. But fuck, I would buy this. I love Grand Theft Auto 3 and Vice City. I'm very nostalgic for those two games in particular. Those are my favorite Grand Theft Autos, so I'd fucking buy this. I think this is a easy. I don't want to say cash grab, but relatively low effort project that they can put together. Even if it is a proper remaster, it's not like this isn't by any stretch of the imagination the kind of undertaking of like making a new Grand Theft Auto. So relatively lower effort, easy to commit to, lower cost kind of way of being like, here's more Grand Theft Auto for all you fucks that won't shut up about how Grand Theft Auto 5 is 8 years old and there's still no word on a new project. So yeah, that makes sense. Also, I mean, if you go back and play like Grand Theft Auto 3 today, that game controls and looks like ass. Like, we remember it playing well, but it's borderline unplayable. Like, you run holding X and the camera's all like choppy and wonky, and all these kinds of things. Like, those games could benefit from a visual overhaul, camera overhaul, new button layout, some of these little quality of life things we are used to and take for granted in 2021. So I'm up for this. People seem really excited about it. I think it's all but confirmed. Yeah, this is cool. I think we'll probably see. I feel like an announcement like this would be made at like some Sony event if they were going to have one. Otherwise, they would just have to do a random drop, because that's really the only way Rockstar announces things, is they either talk about something when they're ready to talk about it all on their own, and it's usually pretty close to launch. They usually do short announcement to release times, or, since they're in bed with PlayStation these days, I could see them, if PlayStation is going to have some big state of play event in the next month or two, I could see them putting this in with that, announcing it there. And then you dig into the press releases and find out, oh, it's also coming to Xbox. Okay. So, I don't know. But I wouldn't expect, like, these aren't from the ground up remakes. This isn't like Halo 2 Anniversary Grand Theft Auto 3. This is going to be like Grand Theft Auto 3, but with better camera controls, better controls overall, added lighting, now rendered in 4K, things like that. But it's not going to be like, wow, we redid every art asset and now it looks basically like Grand Theft Auto 6. That's not what I would be expecting here. But interesting news story. I think it's just a matter of time before it happens. But exciting. I know a lot of people are pretty excited for that one. And then next, our last big story of the day, third week in a row, goddamn Call of Duty, get out of here. So I typed this one up because I just had to. Following months of rumors and more recently leaks, Activision have finally confirmed the existence of 2021's Call of Duty. As everyone already knew, the game is being developed by Sledgehammer, the guys behind Advanced Warfare and World War II. As everybody already knew, the game is titled Call of Duty Vanguard, and as everybody already knew, the game will launch sometime in fall of 2021. What everyone did not know, however, is that until now, is that the game will have an official announcement this Thursday, August 19th, the day this podcast goes live, so you already know more than what I'm telling you at this moment. The announcement will take place in Call of Duty Warzone, the series' popular Battle Royale mode, and it will be announced very similarly to the way Black Ops Cold War was announced last year, signaling that this is likely going to continue to be the norm for Call of Duty announcements going forward, with the proper reveals being around August rather than their more traditional late spring announcements that we were basically accustomed to, I don't know, since like Modern Warfare 2 or whatever. So by the time you're hearing this, you likely already have seen the game and you know a lot about it, and the internet's already freaking blowing up, and the YouTube trailer is probably downvoted into oblivion. However, all that matters is reports are suggesting that the Black Ops developer Treyarch is supposedly helming Call of Duty Vanguard's zombie mode, meaning that the horde-based undead mode might actually be worth a damn this year. A World War II zombie mode developed by Treyarch. Now, I know I said, after last year's Call of Duty Sojourn, I learned I'm a Treyarch man. Don't need to play the Modern Warfare games. Don't need to play the Infinity Ward games. Don't need to play the Sledgehammer games. I'm good with just the Treyarch stuff. I am a Black Ops man through and through. And then obviously all the shit with Activision Blizzard happened. And I said, disgusting. I can't stand for it. I'm not buying Call of Duty anymore. I'm a man of principle, and I have too much respect for the victims of these harassment cases. I will not be buying an Activision game this year in protest of these events. But also, World War II zombies. So I guess you can cuck out a little bit to the Chinese government, right? I don't know, man. I know it sounds awful, but I'm actually excited to see more of this. I saw a lot of people, there are like little tonal trailers released and little screen art that was leaked and stuff like that. And it showed like people were likening it a lot to Battlefield 5, because Battlefield 5, as you'll remember, got so much flack because it was quote unquote too woke and social justice because they were like, oh, it's World War II, but you play as a lot of women, a lot of people of color, and there's a lot of people like differently abled people with fake arms and legs and shit like that, and people were like, whoa, 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 whoa. It's World War II. We know how World War II was fought. It was a bunch of white dudes from Nebraska that got thrown into Germany and they died. Like, hey, come on. If you're going to make a game about World War II, be factually accurate. And then the developers of Battlefield 5 were like, listen, man, I don't give a shit about historical accuracy. I want to create an idealized world so my daughter can relate to the video games I play. That's more or less a thing a guy from DICE literally said about the game. I'm not taking a side here. I don't give a shit about Battlefield 5. But this is how that went down, and people were really pissed about it. And so I already saw a lot of people feeling very similarly because they're like, oh, the leaked screen art is like women and black people, and it's World War II, and so that's factually incorrect. It's like, dude, who gives a shit? Honest to God, who fucking gives a shit? Because the real problem here is that this is going to be Sledgehammer Games' third attempt at making a Call of Duty. They made 2014's Advanced Warfare, they made 2017's World War II, and both of them were incredibly disappointing from a gameplay perspective. They just don't have the fun, addicting, arcadey loop that like a Black Ops game has. And so that's the real concern here is you're giving Sledgehammer the keys to the franchise another time. You really think they can pull it off this time? That's what I'm more interested to learn is this going to be a fun Call of Duty, or is it going to be another Call of Duty World War II where I'm like, oh, that looks good, and then I buy it, I pay full price, and then it ends up being really disappointing, and then I never play it again. So that's what I'm more interested in than the historical accuracy slant. That doesn't really fucking matter. It's fucking Call of Duty. All you do is blow people's faces off anyway. So I don't know. A lot of people are already down on this game. I'm trying to give it the benefit of the doubt because it seems like the way they're developing Call of Duty games more and more, especially just because the typical 2 or 3 year cycle that they were doing where it's like Infinity Ward, make all of this game your own for 3 years, and Treyarch, then you make this game all on your own for 3 years, and a Sledgehammer, you do it these 3 years. That's becoming more and more untenable as we add Warzone into the mix, and as games just increasingly become higher budget, harder to develop, require more talent, more teams, more art disciplines. It's just a really impossible ask. So what we're seeing a lot with Call of Duty now is it's like, okay, this team work on this team work on this. It's like Raven, Toys for Bob, the guys that make Tony Hawk, the guys that make everything Jesse loved as a child, Guitar Hero developers. You guys go make Warzone and make Jesse want to fucking burn his eyeballs out because this game fucking sucks, asshole. You guys go make that. And then Treyarch, let's see, you guys are really good at fun multiplayer. So you guys go make the multiplayer mode. And what can you guys do? Okay, Infinity Ward, you guys make good campaigns. Okay, Modern Warfare 2019, pretty good campaign. You guys go make the campaign mode. I feel like they're doing a lot more of that shit here. So I kind of like this approach to Call of Duty development because it means that rather than it being like every couple of years I find a Call of Duty I like, it's like every Call of Duty has a little something I like. And I'm into that. Like last year, Black Ops Cold War, I thought Treyarch did a great job with the multiplayer. Raven did a fantastic job with the campaign. I loved Black Ops Cold War's campaign. Everyone who worked on Warzone did a fucking awful job with Warzone. I didn't touch it. Pretty typical. But that way it was like, I spent $70 on Black Ops Cold War, but I got a kick out of the zombies, the multiplayer, the campaign. Warzone can suck a dick. So that's how I'm thinking about this. It's like, well, I've already played Advanced Warfare and World War II, and I can tell you I don't like Sledgehammer's attempts at Call of Duty so far. I think their multiplayer is just missing something. Their campaigns are a little too serious and kind of boring. Like, it's just not doing it for me. But if you tell me, well, yeah, Sledgehammer's making this new Call of Duty, but Treyarch's making the zombies, I'll be like, okay, maybe not $70, but, first time the game goes on sale, maybe a New Year's sale, maybe I get it for like $55 or something. I might put $55 down if it means I can play some fun, Treyarch zombies, like Nazi zombies, like World War II Nazi zombies, like Call of Duty World at War level zombies. Fuck yeah, I'd do that. So, it seems like we're getting into that a little more with Call of Duty. I'll be interested to see next year's in particular, because presumably 2022's Call of Duty is going to be Modern Warfare 2, like a sequel to 2019 Modern Warfare. Whatever they decide. I don't think it's going to be called Modern Warfare 2. I think it will be called Modern Warfare : something like Modern Warfare New Frontier, Modern Warfare Modern Warfare Modernism, something like that. Like kind of like how it's like Black Ops Cold War, not Black Ops 5. So I think they're going to name it something like that. But I don't know, it'd be cool. It's like, what if Treyarch is working on the next Modern Warfare? And what if Raven's working on the next Modern Warfare? I know they all work on all of them because of like Warzone, but I'm talking about like the multiplayer, the zombies, the campaign, the stuff that's actually worth a damn. So I don't know. I'm not as down on this, but I should probably not talk about it because by the time you're listening to this podcast, you've already seen gameplay, you've already gotten a proper reveal, you've already gotten a release date, you already know what the fucking GameStop pre-order bonus is. You know, why do you need to listen to me talk about before we knew? That's a waste of your time. I'm sorry. That's going to do it for all of our big news stories. Now, well, actually, with the exception of a little Game Pass update. Seems like every week we get a Game Pass update. So this has become a regular run of the show. Maybe I need to put it in its own category for the show. But available today, some new Game Pass games. Humankind on PC. I saw a lot of people talking about this game. I still haven't taken a look at it. I need to figure out more about what that is because people seem really into it. Also, Need for Speed Heat is on cloud through EA Play. Star Wars Battlefront 2 is on cloud through EA Play. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is on cloud through EA Play. All those games were already on EA Play via not cloud, so whatever. And then coming soon, a couple new games. Recompile is coming to cloud consoles, Series X and S only, and PC on August 19th. Continuing with August 19th, we got Train Sim World 2, cloud console and PC. And 12 Minutes, which we talked about at the top of the show, comes out today. Cloud, console, PC, August 19th. You can play all these games, have a blast. And then on August 25th, we got next week, new console exclusive, new first-party game that's also coming to PlayStation because of some previous agreements. Psychonauts 2, baby. And I really want to go finish Psychonauts 1 this weekend, but I don't know if I realistically, I don't know if I'm going to get to it. But Psychonauts 2, cloud, console, and PC, August 25th. It's a whole new game. Tim Schafer's going to have made it. It's going to be a whole thing you can play. And then Myst is coming to cloud console and PC on August 26th. So, hey, there you go. Also next week. Now, that's going to do it for all of our news stories. But we're going to jump into our important enough news. These are the stories important enough to make the podcast, but not important enough to warrant their own discussion, but not big enough to be at the top of the show where we talked about some stories that we didn't include in the run of notes, but we talked about anyway. Anyway, we got 3 quick ones. So, first one, Windows Central reports that up until now, Series X dashboard guide and other menus have been rendered at 1080p on the Xbox Series X and S, causing it to appear a little fuzzy on 4K TVs. However, starting today, the alpha ring of Xbox insiders can now download a new build update, which fully includes a 4K supported Xbox Series X dashboard, other UI elements supported on displays. Obviously, it doesn't support the Series S because that's a 1440p console. Fucking suck it, you losers. Hopefully, players won't have to wait too long before this goes out of the insider program and into the regular build of the console's UI, which usually only takes a few weeks, so it'll probably be there in the next month or so. Next up, Windows Central also reports that Rare has confirmed Sea of Thieves has sold over 4.8 million units, or sorry, rather, has over 4.8 million active players as of June 2021. This comes alongside the announcement that the free Pirates Life update, which came out in June, which added crossover content, including new tall tales with characters from Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean, like Jack Sparrow and Davy Jones. The Sea of Thieves, that this update clearly helped bolster those numbers. And then Sea of Thieves, obviously originally launched back in the spring of 2018, with numerous content updates since, including the Tall Tale story content. Earlier in 2021, Rare announced that Sea of Thieves had crossed 20 million lifetime players. So, pretty damn impressive numbers. Seeing this game continue to sustain itself. Obviously, if we're going to talk about this more, which we're not, this is incredibly indicative of what Xbox is looking to build more of with their big games through Game Pass. Is these games that have legs, that have additional content and live on and are more than just a one and done release. So, Sea of Thieves, really cool to see that go from like a mild, okay hit to like a big game. Really fucking cool. So, congrats to Rare. And then lastly, IGN reports Biomutant, the open world RPG from Experiment 101, has sold over 1 million copies and has made its development costs back within its opening week. The developer and parent company Embracer Group announced this during Q1 interim reports, saying that Biomutant acted as a key contributing factor to the sales revenue generated in the quarter, and that, quote, the main revenue driver, that so far the game has sold more than 1 million copies and the full investment into development and marketing as well as acquisition costs for the developer and IP were already recouped within the first week. So Embracer Group, Experiment 101, those guys are probably really thrilled with all that information, so congrats on that as well and your success there. But that's going to do it for all of our news this week, guys. Well, we're not running too long. We're only running an hour and 35 minutes. It's pretty good. That's pre-edited. Guys, there's new games that come out every week, and now I'm going to read them to you. Go over to Xbox Wire, you look at the new game announcements, and then I tell you what this game is based on the title of the game, a screenshot, and everything else I make up. We got 11 new games this week. Greek Memories of Azure, not Microsoft Azure, but a different Azure, releases August 17th. It's like some kind of stick figure game that looks like Hollow Knight you played it before. Pile Up, Box by Box. This is a game about a traffic jam, but not cars. I mean boxes, so it's like an Amazon warehouse simulator. Rogue Explorer, this is a game. And then World Superstar Strikers 91 is like Mario Strikers, but instead it's just like little 8-bit sprites. August 18th. Mayhem Brawler comes out August 19th. This literally looks like Marvel vs. Capcom, kind of, with like a side scroll brawling thing. Recompile August 19th is optimized for the Series X and S. It is a Game Pass game. It's so much content going into Game Pass, and I can barely find time to play. Hello Kitty kart racing. 12 Minutes comes out August 9th. Xbox Series X optimized, delivered smartly. Game Pass, all the things. There's a person who's handcuffed on the bottom of a floor, and there's a guy choking out another guy, killing him. And I don't understand why you'd want to play a game where you look at people die from a top-down perspective. I guess it's like some kind of God simulator where you just watch people suffer and you do absolutely nothing about it. But hey, praise Jesus. And then next we got Arietta of Spirits, which is another one of those 8-bit games. It's a monster plant throwing up on a girl. It's kind of gross. I don't know why you'd want to play that. Checkers for Kids comes out August 20th. I guess this is where kids learn how to lose at checkers, because what the fucking kid will... Oh, no, Mom, I don't want to play Fortnite Imposters mode. I like to play Checkers for Kids, please and thank you. That kid went on to be the next motherfucking Stephen Hawking. Madden NFL 2022, August 20th. I don't fucking think so. They optimized it for Xbox Series X and X, but does that make it any better or worse than last year? Probably not. It's just the same fucking game, but you're going to buy it anyway. Ha ha. I'm going to talk. I just defended Call of Duty for 15 minutes. Rise Eterna it comes out August 20th. It looks like an old RPG from the SNES, so I'm going to recommend you go play the Japanese Square Enix released Final Fantasy 3, whatever Japanese version, which is Final Fantasy 6 here in the West, or whatever it is they say. I don't fucking know. I'm not a nerd. That's going to do it for all of our new game releases of the week. Slow down. As a reminder, Games with Gold, you guys. This is the last week before we find out about the next slew of Games with Gold for the month of September, so while time is still on our side, you can download Darksiders 3 for the rest of the month. You can download Yooka-Laylee until September 15th. Lost Planet 3, you missed it. Fuck, I think I forgot to download that. Garu, Mark of the Wolves, available until the 31st, so go ahead and download that. And with that said, guys, your internet speeds are super slow because I've just named so many fucking games you gotta go download. You're all excited but overwhelmed with options and choice because that is the plight of the Xbox gamer. But you are all epic gamers, so I'm sure you'll sort through the wreckage and figure out what is good for you to play, what is right for you to play, what is righteous to play. But until then, guys, I gotta go. I gotta go edit this thing, get it up for tomorrow. Tomorrow night, we're gonna do a stream. Please, 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 if you are not already, subscribe to the podcast on YouTube at Xbox On Podcast on YouTube. Also, subscribe to my second channel, my new channel, Lightning McStream on YouTube. We're going to be doing some really cool videos. I'm really excited about that video content. And then follow me on Twitch at Lightning McStream, which is where we are streaming every Monday and Thursday night. We're having a lot of fun. We're playing Splitgate. We're playing Halo. I'm yelling at you guys. I'm getting mad at my computer when all my technology doesn't cooperate. It's a whole lot of fun. And then follow me on Twitter for updates on all these things at Jesse DeRosa on Twitter. I will be talking about stuff. Please, you're going to want to follow me on Twitter because very pertinent to the Xbox ecosystem. Disney just announced their new Fast Pass replacement system. I have many things to say about it, so you're going to want to follow me on Twitter if you want to keep up with Xbox news in that regard. But until next week, guys, I hope you are well. Get ready for some Gamescom. Rest up, eat well, get your chicken sandwiches. You're going to need them because we got a lot coming up in just a short amount of time. So until then, gamers, power your dreams.
Addressing every lie brings nothing